Greetings and salutations. What? Okay. Somebody said from Mars. Somebody said Earthlings. Good stuff. Good stuff. All good things. All good things. Um, thanks for joining us. We are like can't count. I don't know. 10 weeks from Easter. April 9th. Mm-hmm. April 9th is Easter. So big day. Ooh. Do you, is this an aged joke that your arms aren't long enough to see? Is it dead? Oh, that's dangerous. Do you know where the batteries are? They're right by the soundboard. While she's doing that, yeah, Easter's coming. It's gonna be a good time. Have no idea what I'm doing, to be completely honest. I'm gonna be here. It's as far as my plan goes. Um, last week, my handy dandy assistant's not here. We started out in the prophets, and um, the prophets are a tough read. They can be challenging because there's so much that we struggle with. Um, Judgment and correction. Oh, glad we took care of that. You should do that before class. She's going to the bathroom. Anyway, um, have you ever walked into a conversation or like walked into a situation where someone is getting in trouble and you're like, this is awkward. I don't know if I should like hide in the corner or like interject. If it's one of my kids, I'm like, ooh, I'm ready to pile on. Here we go. I will join in. Hey, let's see how this goes. I'm just taking notes. I'm just here for taking notes. Anyway, that's how it feels that we're walking into when we start reading the prophets from time to time. We see these corrections and these judgments and these like disciplinary conversations. Is it like we have this awkward, how am I supposed to deal with this? Because God's not talking to me, He's talking to His people many, many years ago. And it's tough to understand the situation exactly of what's going on. And so we get all this judgment and correction. And honestly, there's some prophets that we're going to get through that they're going to be pretty dark. And it's going to be like, well, now what? And so that's kind of where Hosea is. And that's where we're going to be today is Hosea. If you've ever read the book of Hosea, it's a great read. If you haven't read the book of Hosea, hey, it's still a great read. You should try it out. And we're talking about the prophets, trying to use time, and maybe Chelsea will come back. There's images with each prophet to help us understand and remember. We're going to have these images as memory devices for us to remember and help us connect with the message and everything of each prophet. Chelsea, we are in the pre-Assyrian, which means what? We're in the pre-Assyrian period of the prophets, which means what? What is pre? You're going to need your microphone. Yes. Like before Assyria. Oh, praise the Lord. It's number 6. It's number 6. Yes, before. Number 6, I think. Try it now.
Check.
Okay.
Before Assyria.
Yes, pre-Assyria is before Assyria. What do we mean by before Assyria?
I'm assuming before the Assyrians took over.
And what did they take over?
the land.
Israel is
Israel. Why didn't you let me say the answer like I was smart? Because everybody in here knows, but people that would watch this later wouldn't know that I didn't know. For real.
Thank you, Bill, for the answer.
Fine.
Israel also is referred to by another name. It's Ephraim.
Oh, yeah, did not know that.
And what is that group of people? Are they in the north or the south?
South. North. I lied. I changed my mind. I mean, north.
North is correct. How many tribes make up Israel?
More than make up the other one. The other one has 3.
Yeah. So the rest of them.
9.
Try again.
8.
Try again.
7. 10.
You're going the wrong way. Yeah, 10. 10 is the right number. 10 is the right number.
Sorry.
Yeah.
10.
Yes, 10.
I did know there were 3 in the other, though. I mean, I feel like that's it. Thank you. I needed a thumbs up. That was pretty good.
Yes. Okay.
Thanks.
So the 10 nations in the northern kingdom of Israel, Amos was written to them, and Hosea, again, is going to be written to Israel. Do you remember the image we said
I just told you I didn't
from
know.
Amos? It was...
Really? You didn't write it on the board. You put a question mark.
Yes. This one should be pretty easy. I brought one out.
Oh, the plumb line.
Aha, the plumb line. See, you are really smart.
Thank you. I am. The plumb line.
The plumb line.
I was thinking it was an animal. And I don't know why.
Nope, not an animal. It's a plumb line.
That makes more sense.
So, this week, the image is going to show up pretty quickly in Hosea. Hosea is written...
it's empty. I mean, it's full of ice, but there's 0 water.
Well, good. Hosea is written sometime just before 700 BC is when his ministry starts. Matter of fact, Hosea chapter 1, verse 1 references this as the word of the Lord that came to Hosea, the son of Beeri, in the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, kings of Judah. That's a lot of people. And in the days of Jeroboam, the son of Joash, king of Israel. So you got that straight?
I don't remember where this book is.
It's right after Daniel. The book of Daniel, then Hosea.
Is that east or west of Psalms?
Ezekiel, Daniel, Hosea.
Ezekiel.
Jonah,
left.
Micah, Nahum, Habakkuk.
So it's
no,
it's
east.
Joel,
Amos, and Obadiah.
East of Psalms.
I don't know which way you're pointing.
Well, east to me is the right.
Okay. It's to the
okay,
right.
I'm going that way. I was going that way before, and then I got too far, and it's little, so I passed it real
14
fast.
chapters. 14 chapters. Anyway, so around around 700 BC is when this is happening, and it's interesting. Probably one of the only times in history where you get one king of Israel in the same time frame as 4 kings of Judah. But that 4th king of Judah, Hezekiah, is going to be referenced in the book that we go to next. He's going to lead Judah through repentance. King Hezekiah is. Jeroboam the second here, Jeroboam son of Joash, is not going to do so well. So let's talk about Hosea. These first 3 chapters are Hosea's life and his ministry. Do you want me to read, or would you like to start this thing out?
No, I don't mind to
read. Verse 2
read.
of chapter 1. Let's see how life is for Hosea.
Oh boy, this is one of my favorite books.
Warning,
Oh no,
might not be G-rated. Go ahead.
yeah. When the Lord began to speak by Hosea, the Lord said to Hosea, "Go, take yourself a wife of harlotry and children of harlotry." Are you going to stop me right now?
Mine says whoredom.
How do you spell that?
WHOREDOM. D-O-M.
Oh, whoredom. Wow. I didn't have to say that. Wow.
I think in today's vernacular it would say she belonged to the street. A lady of the town.
Lady of the night.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Well, I know what a harlot is, but anyway. I'm glad I don't have to say the other word.
Hers is New King James.
What does your version say?
Oh, yeah.
Promiscuous. I mean, yeah.
She got around.
Moving on. And children of the same. Okay, so for the land has committed great harlotry by departing from the Lord. So he went and took Gomer, the daughter of...
To blame.
He is to blame. Let me just tell you what. And...
Okay.
Just laugh.
Is
She's
she
wanting to laugh
conceived?
right there. Okay, and she conceived and bore him a son.
Okay. Let me just have a quick conversation about God has called you, and he's like, you are going to be my minister. You are going to speak to the people for me. I'm ready. Okay. Go marry a prostitute. Excuse me? Excuse me? I don't even know where to find one.
Right.
I'm sure you can figure it out. What? Like,
Well, and what makes you think she's going to quit her job to be your wife?
I'm not sure that she
just
did.
from the other perspective. Well, no.
I'm not sure she did.
But, like, why would she think, oh, yeah, let me just go ahead and get married?
Like, nope. Not yet. Nope. Like, who's signing up for this deal? I got a great idea. We got a ministry for you. Sweet. I'm ready to serve in whatever capacity I need to. Okay. This woman is a prostitute. You're going to marry her. Okay. So I'm not sure that is what I signed up for. But Hosea willingly does it.
So when he says in children of harlotry, does that just mean his kids will be? What does that mean?
Well.
Or does that mean, could that mean whatever children she bears?
Did she ever quit?
I'm asking whatever children she bears by him or otherwise. Yeah. Okay. Clarification.
So he has a firstborn. It's a son.
She conceived and bore him a son.
What was his name?
Then the Lord said to him, call his name Jezreel, for in a little while I will avenge the bloodshed of Jezreel on the house of Jehu, and bring an end to the kingdom of the house of Israel.
Wow.
Sounds terrible.
Sounds awful.
Fun time.
So God has called Hosea. He's like, I want you to marry a prostitute. Marries prostitute. Has child. And he's like, that son, name it Jezreel, because I'm going to judge the people of Israel. Yes? Pretty intense so far. What happens next?
And it shall come to pass in that day that I will break the bow of Israel in the valley of Jezreel.
What happens next?
And she conceived again and bore a daughter. Then God said to him, I don't know how to call her name Lo Ruhama.
Lo Ruhama, which means?
Literally, no mercy.
Well, this is exciting.
For I will no longer have mercy on the house of Israel, but I will utterly take them away.
And so who's Hosea going to speak to? What group of people is he a prophet to?
The Israelites.
The Israelites, the people of the nation of Israel. And he's like, I want you to show them my word.
Literally show them by your life.
I want you to live out. Yeah, I want you to live out my word for them. Okay? What do you want me to do? Go marry a prostitute? Oh, this is not going well. Kind of reminds you of, we want a king. I'll give you a king. How about a donkey herder who can't even keep track of his donkeys?
Right.
So we get this prostitute wife. They have a kid. The firstborn son names him Jezreel because he's going to judge his people. And if that's not harsh enough, has a baby girl, and he tells him to name her No Mercy, because I'm not going to have mercy on you anymore. That's a tough spot to be. And when that baby was weaned, she conceived another son.
Well, do we need to talk about Judah? Or no? Is that not important? It says he will have mercy on the house of Judah.
Oh, he will have
He
mercy
will
on
save
the house
them
of
by
Judah.
the Lord their God, and will not save them by bow, nor by sword or battle, by horses or horsemen.
Yeah, and then verse 7,
So
verse 8.
when she weaned
So when she had weaned No Mercy,
she conceived and bore a son. Then God said,
call his name.
Goodness, Lo Ami, literally not my people. That's so sad. For you are not my people, and I will not be your God.
How do you feel his family is feeling at this point? Took a wife. Firstborn son is named Judgment. Secondborn, a daughter. Her name is I'm not going to have mercy. And the thirdborn son is literally named
Not my people.
That's not mine. His.
Yeah.
It just says that she bore a son. She became pregnant. This is a tough spot
I wonder
to be.
if Jezreel was, because the verbiage is different. She conceived and bore him a son.
Correct.
And his name was Jezreel. And then she bore a daughter, and then she bore a son. So yeah, doesn't seem like the indication was that they were his.
So what's she doing?
Same old.
She's still busy.
Yeah.
Got to make a living somehow, I guess.
Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured or numbered. And it shall come to pass in the place where it was said to them, You are not my people. There it shall be said to them, You are the sons of the living God. Then the children of Judah and the children of Israel shall be gathered together, and appoint for themselves one head, and they shall come up out of the land, for great will be the day of Jezreel.
I mean, I titled this Hosea Living Theater, but the image of the book of Hosea is a prostitute. I mean, it is prostitute and prostitution, which is illegal, by the way. Thought I'd throw that in there.
Probably a good choice.
But this is a tough read.
Yeah.
Like, how do we deal with this? This is what this living theater, this demonstration of, hey, this is who you are. Because God's going to go on in chapter 2 and talk about, hey, at the place where I said that you are my people, in that same place, it's going to be replaced by you're not my people. And the same place where you declared me your father and you declared me God, I'm going to take that name out of your mouth and replace it with my Baal.
What's Baal? What do you mean?
Baal is the...
Oh, B-A-A-L?
Yes. The bull.
Yeah, I got it. Was God saying that?
Yes, God said that he was going to take his name out of their mouth and replace it with my Baal.
Oh, instead of my God, they would say my Baal.
That's right.
Oh, I'm with you now. Following. Well, this is getting really sad.
I mean, it's intense. It's intense. And like I said, it's a tough read. It is personally one of my favorite books. Mm-hmm. One of my favorite books of the Bible. But it's a really, really tough read. And in the middle of all this judgment and correction and this discomfort that we find ourselves in because, well, who wants to sit in a room where someone's being corrected and the correction they're getting is you're prostituting yourself out? Awkward.
Yeah.
Hey, you're busy
Brian's like, what?
chasing after
Not a big deal. Wow.
not my spouse. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so much so that the third child born is declared, hey, that's not mine. I'm certain that's not mine. That didn't come from me. That wasn't my intention.
But that's what the Lord told him to say, right?
Yes. But that's exactly where he was, too. Physically, literally
Wow.
there.
Right.
That's exactly it. Yes, this is the message of God to his people. He is some prophets get to talk of images and things to come, and some get to talk about the challenges of what stands in front of them. Hosea is called uniquely out of all the people, and God says, no, I want you to live out for this people what I see. I want you to make very clear to them that this is exactly what's happening. And what do we find? We find this wife that is not faithful, that hasn't left the job.
Right.
And then chapter 3 comes around. Like at some point, we're struggling with, okay, well, what am I supposed to do here?
Mm-hmm.
How am I supposed to react to this? And chapter 3 comes around, and it opens with,
Then the Lord said to me, go again, love a woman who is loved by a lover and is committing adultery, just like the love of the Lord for the children of Israel, who look to other gods and love the raisin cakes of the pagans.
how about that? In the midst of everything else going on, in the midst of all the
he goes to buy
unfaithfulness
her
going
back.
on, God says, okay, I know your wife has run out and she's still in all these acts of adultery because she's still prostituting herself out, even though she's committed her life to you. Just like the people of God are chasing after other things instead of committing their life to me. He says, I want you to go and chase her down and love her again. And know her again. This is God's call. And it's like, okay, how do you do that? How do you turn around from judgment and no mercy and that's not mine and go, all right, go love them again. Go bring them back in again. Go make yourself vulnerable again. Go ahead.
So I bought her for myself for 15 shekels of silver and 1½ homers of barley. And I said to her, you shall stay with me many days. You shall not play the harlot, nor shall you have a man. So too will I be toward you.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
That price for a older, well-used slave.
I'm like, how are you going to say this? Yeah.
That price they paid was
Pretty steep.
for a choice slave, servant.
Yeah.
And he took the bond of slavery and the servanthood off of her. And he said, I want you to come home. You're not going to operate as a servant in my house. You're not going to be a slave in my house. You're going to be my wife. And you're going to be committed to me just as I'm committed only to you. And it says in verse 4, "For the children of Israel shall dwell many days without king or prince, without sacrifice or pillar, without ephod or household gods. And afterwards the children of Israel shall return and seek the Lord their God." And who?
David, their king.
Who's their king? Who's the king of Israel when this is going on?
I don't remember who you said.
Jeroboam the second, Jeroboam the son of
Jeroboam.
Joash. He was bad news. And God's like, nope, you're going to pursue after me and David, your king. And they shall come in fear to the Lord and to his
Goodness. What does yours say? Goodness.
Yep. In the latter days. That's quite an end to a very intense judgment, isn't it? Like, if I'm having intense discipline conversations with my kids, they don't end like that. I promise you.
Oh, no, never. Not once.
It's true. Not one time. They don't end like that. I mean, I don't send them away crying and frustrated and then turn around and go, you know what? I forgive you. I'm backing off of all that stuff. That's not how I do things.
No, you just send them away crying and frustrated.
That's not how I am. But I'm not God either. Like, God is like, this is quite an intense correction, and finally he says, no. Because what is that word for judgment again? There's two words for judgment. You remember them? One is spelled D-I-Y-N, which is pronounced D-I-Y-N. It's pronounced. It obviously starts with a D.
Din.
Dean.
Dan?
Dean.
Oh, just Dean? Oh, yeah, I never would have guessed that.
And Dean judgment is what type of judgment?
You did something wrong, you're going to pay for it.
That's right. But then there's another type of judgment that we talked about.
Spell it.
M-S-H-P-T.
Mishpat. Mishpat. Pot. Mishpat.
Mishpat. And what type of justice and judgment is that?
Reconciliation.
Uh,
No, what's the word? Starts with an R.
Yes, it does.
What is it? Reparation?
Restoration.
Restoration?
There we go. Restoration. Restorative justice.
Restorative justice, yes.
What is God operating under here?
Oh, definitely the second one.
He's definitely his desire. He is bringing judgment. And just like last week, it's still mishpat. His aim still is not to destroy and hold back and break apart. It's still to restore.
Mm-hmm.
Still to make them whole. Even though they're prostituting themselves out to other gods. Which is exactly what he says.
Isn't that such a deep way to think about it, though? Like, even in our own lives right now? Like, if we're not sold out to him alone, where he's paid our price?
Yeah.
Oh. Boy, if that doesn't bring you to, like, an altar, I feel like, you know what I mean? Just that moment, it's like, whoa. That makes me want to cry a little bit.
It's pretty crazy. I'm looking for a little spot, but it's a lot. Oh, yeah. Numbers chapter 15, verse 37 through 41. Says, the Lord said to Moses, speak to the people of Israel and tell them to make tassels on the corners of their garments throughout their generations, and to put a cord of blue on the tassel of each corner. So 4 tassels, a tassel in each corner of their garment with a blue cord in it. Numbers 15, verse 37 through 41. So I'm going to pick up in verse 39. Are you there? Oh, verse 39. And it shall be a tassel for you to look at and remember all the commandments of the Lord and to do them, not to follow after your own heart and your own eyes, which you are inclined to whore after.
Yeah. Mine says that you may not follow the harlotry to which your own heart and your own eyes are inclined.
It's pretty consistent. Yours
Yeah.
says harlot, harlot, harlot.
Mhm.
Is harlotry. So you shall remember and do all my commandments and be holy to your God. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am the Lord your God. So they put tassels on their clothes for this specific reason. I wonder if they still have tassels on their clothes when Hosea comes around.
Does it say?
Well, he gave them a command, and they're living as Jewish people, and they have a priest and high priests, and
No, I'm saying, does it say in Hosea?
it doesn't talk about tassels,
Oh,
but
bummer.
the tassels on their clothes are to remind them not to chase after
Other things.
other gods, because God did the work to bring them out of Egypt. And the challenge, remember the conversation from Deuteronomy? It was what?
Don't forget, remember
Remember what?
where you came from.
Where you came from. And that's the declaration of God in Numbers. Hey, I brought you out of Egypt. I put you here. I'm providing for you over and over and over again. And he says back to back right there, I'm the Lord your God. I am the Lord your God. But the challenge is where in the book of Hosea later on, I think it's chapter 11, God's speaking through Hosea to his people. And he's like, I delivered you out of Egypt, and I brought you out into the wilderness, and I was feeding you in the wilderness, and you became fat and satisfied, and you forgot me. While you were still in the wilderness, you still had no place. You didn't have rain. You didn't have land. You didn't till the ground, but you were full and satisfied in the wilderness. And then I established you as a people. And I loved you, and I cared for you, and you chased after all these other things. Because, well, you needed to figure yourself out. You needed to express yourself your own way or whatever. And so God just let him. He got out of the way and let him. And we get confused sometimes. We're like, how could a person, or even how could a church leader find themselves to that place? Well, God's not standing in the way. He never has been. He's not standing in the way and stopping us from making mistakes. He's pleading with us and calling out to us not to. But he's not going to stand in the way and stop us. It's still our choice to go however we want, live however we want. And all those choices have consequences. Are we going to follow the path long enough that the consequences are in the place where God says, that's mine? That God says, I don't know him. That ain't mine. Hosea 14. We'll go to the end and see how this works itself out a little bit. Then we're going to jump back here to a passage that I really, really like.
Were you just describing 13?
Is that 13?
Yeah.
Then, yeah.
When they had pasture, they were filled, and their heart was exalted. Therefore, they forgot me.
Yeah.
I knew you in the wilderness. Yeah.
let's in the midst of all this judgment, right here at the end in verse 4 of Hosea 14, we get something a little bit different. What is it?
Verse 4
Uh-huh.
says, I will heal their backsliding. I will love them freely, for my anger has turned away from him. That was all of verse 4.
Keep.
Oh, sorry. You normally stop me. I didn't know. I was unaware. Okay. Let me go back. I will heal their backsliding. I will love them freely, for my anger has turned away from him. I will be like the dew to Israel. He shall grow like the lily and lengthen his roots like Lebanon. His branches shall spread. His beauty shall be like an olive tree, and his fragrance like Lebanon. Those who dwell under his shadow shall return. They shall be revived like grain and grow like a vine. Their scent shall be like the wine of Lebanon. Ephraim shall say, what have I to do any more with idols? I have heard and observed him. I am like a green cypress tree. Your fruit is found in me. Who is wise? Let him understand these things. Who is prudent? Let him know them. For the ways of the Lord are right. The righteous walk in them, but transgressors stumble in them.
So here at the end of the book of Hosea, that's all this judgment and condemnation of the prostitution of the people to chase after other gods. God says, I'm going to return to them.
Yeah.
I'm going to heal them. He talks at different times of he's going to allure them back from all these places. From the west, they're going to come. From the east, they're going to come. From the north, they're going to come. They're going to make their way back, and he will be to them a God. And in the same place where he said, they're not my people, he will again say, no, that's my people. And in the place where they said, cried out, my Baal, he says he's going to take that from their mouth, and he's going to restore that, not with my God, but my lover, my husband. Kind of speaks of a little bit of Exodus.
I was going to say that covenant that they made, yeah. Or that he made.
The marriage covenant that we talked about at Mount Sinai. It's just a beautiful thing, because in Hosea chapter 2, verses 14 and 15, God tells Hosea to call out to his wife, and he is talking about what he's going to do. He says, I will allure her, and I will bring her back. I will woo her. And how am I going to woo her? And he's like, I'm going to bring her into the wilderness. And we're like, a desert camp out? Terrible. And God's
Romantic.
like, God says, no. I'm going to lead her into the wilderness, because I'm going to prove to her that I'm the only thing she needs.
Yeah.
If my bride knows that we have each other, we can survive. That I will do everything necessary. I will calm all of the chaos. Take all of the potential of all the other people for her to be chasing after him, and take it all away and let her know what my love is for her. I'm going to allure her. I'm going to lead her into the wilderness so I can speak gently, softly to her, so she will know my voice. Then I will give her her vineyards. And it's like, are we turning back around and going back to town? No. In the wilderness, I'm going to make vineyards grow. In the wilderness, I'm going to make that valley of trouble a doorway, a gateway to hope.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take all that pain and I'm going to turn it into hope and a future. And there she shall answer as in the days of her youth, as at the time when she came out of the land of Egypt. Because what was happening in the wilderness on the backside of the desert for 40 years, what do we call that?
The honeymoon.
The honeymoon. Where they got to know each other, to experience one another. Do you remember that word? To yada.
Yada.
And this is God's call to us. Like this is that image of prostitution come full circle. That God says, I know you're chasing after all these things because you're trying to get to know who you are. And he says, if you will just listen to my voice and even wander with me out into the desert, into the wilderness where nothing else is going on, and we can know each other, you'll realize that I'm all you need. And he's calling to the people of Israel to repent. Do they repent? Or is Assyria coming? Find out next time. Actually, not next time. 3 times from now. We've got 2 pre-Assyrian prophets coming. Turned it off this time. It won't be dead next time. 2 more pre-Assyrian prophets coming before major judgment comes. And I'm drawing a blank. I think it's Joel. But that doesn't mean much. Me thinking. Let me look. I don't know what I'm doing here. Look at my notes. Micah. Just kidding. Micah is who we're jumping to next. So we're going to have some more discussion about random things in the book of Hosea. Maybe, probably, don't know. Anyway, come and join us sometime. It's we love talking and hanging out and spending time, so